You know that little spike of panic when TSA pulls your bag aside and your brain goes, wait, did I pack my meds wrong? Most of the time, TSA isn't trying to take your medication. They're reacting to stuff that looks confusing. So today I'm breaking down the 5 medication categories that get travelers pulled for bag checks the most in 2026. And for each one, you'll get the clean way to pack it and the one sentence that keeps things moving. And honestly, number 5 is the sneaky one, because some meds can make you look drowsy or off, and that's when the focus shifts from your bag to you. Now, let's start with the easiest way to accidentally make your bag look suspicious: your pills. Picture this. You've got a weekly pill organizer, snapped shut, feeling efficient. Then TSA pulls your bag, opens it, and your neat system suddenly looks unofficial. Vitamins? Allergy meds? Something worse? And now you're standing there while someone studies your tiny rainbow collection, and the line behind you starts doing that impatient shuffle. In the US, TSA generally allows solid medications, and they don't require everything to be in the original pharmacy bottle. The real issue is speed. Unlabeled pills are harder to confirm at a glance, so you're more likely to get extra screening, a quick swab, a few questions, and the dreaded hang tight, which somehow always lands right when your boarding time starts feeling personal. Where the stakes can go up is international travel. Many countries may want prescriptions in original labeled containers, and customs can be stricter about anything that looks like mystery pills. Before you fly abroad, check the destination and layover country's embassy guidance, and the CDC's general travel advice usually points you toward keeping prescriptions in original packaging and carrying documentation like a copy of your prescription. So what's the clean move? For anything important, prescriptions, controlled meds, anything you can't replace the same day, keep it in the labeled pharmacy bottle. If you love the organizer for convenience, you can still use it. Just don't make it your only proof. Keep the labeled bottles in your carry-on and save a clear label photo as backup. It won't solve every situation everywhere, but it's a solid context lifeline if you need it fast. For vitamins or supplements, keep them looking boring. A labeled container beats a random bag of assorted tablets every time. If TSA asks, say this: these are my medications. The labeled bottles are in my bag if you need to see them. All right, pills handled. Now let's talk about the category that trips people up the most at checkpoints: liquids. The fastest way to get a secondary screening is to treat cough syrup like shampoo. A lot of people still have that 3.4 ounces rule burned into their brain, so they do the exact wrong move. They bury a big bottle of medicine inside the toiletry bag and hope it just slides through. On the X-ray, it reads like a large liquid hiding with regular liquids, so your bag ends up on the side table getting unpacked. It's always the same face: confused, annoyed, and suddenly sweating about the boarding clock. I don't want that to be you. Here's the real rule. Medically necessary liquids can go over 3.4 ounces in reasonable quantities, but you have to declare them. TSA isn't guessing what your bottle is. If you don't say anything, they screen it like a normal oversized liquid. If you declare it, you're telling them this has a purpose, and the whole interaction gets easier. So do this. Keep your liquid meds together in a separate clear pouch, away from the regular toiletry bag. Then say the magic sentence before your bins go on the belt. Your line is, I have medically necessary liquids to declare. They may still swab the bottle or take a quick look, and that's normal. Most people still go through just fine when they declare it clearly and keep it easy to inspect. And if you'd rather your medication not be X-rayed, request a visual inspection before it goes through. Can I request a visual inspection for my medication? It might take a little longer, but it's an option if that matters for your situation. And speaking of liquids, the next mistake is sneaky, because it's the one that gets expensive items tossed like they're just skincare, when they're actually prescription medication. Has your $80 eczema cream ever gotten this close to the airport trash can? I'm not joking. This category disappears all the time for one annoying reason. It doesn't look like medication. It looks like skincare. Creams, gels, ointments, on the outside, they're just tubes. TSA isn't reading ingredients like it's a Sephora review. They're making a quick decision based on context. And yeah, same idea as liquid meds. Don't bury prescription creams in your regular toiletries and hope for the best. Keep them with your medical items so it's instantly clear what they are. But the bigger trap is what people do before they even leave the house. They get organized. They decant the cream into a cute little travel jar. No label, no name, no prescription info, just a mystery blob in a container that could be face moisturizer, hair product, or honestly anything. And once you remove the identity, you've made it harder for anyone to treat it like what it actually is. So if it came labeled, keep it labeled. If the box has your name and prescription details, don't toss it right before the flight, especially if you're going international and you want fewer questions later. If the tube is bulky and you're tempted to transfer it, ask your pharmacy if they can do a travel-sized version or an extra labeled container. Even having the original tube or box with you makes the whole thing easier to explain. When you're at the bins, you don't need a speech. Just a quick heads up before anyone has to guess. Prescription cream, medical item. And I'm curious, what's the one tube you almost had tossed? The one you still remember because it was expensive? All right, because the next category is where the context matters even more. Creams look innocent. This next stuff doesn't. Needles, injection pens, and cold packs can look intense when they're separated from the medication they belong with. And that's when TSA gets noticeably more cautious. This is the category that makes TSA pause the longest when they open a bag, because out of context, it looks intense. A needle, a pen injector, a medical kit. On a normal day, it's healthcare. In a security line, it can look like, okay, explain this. The biggest mistake is splitting the pieces up. Loose syringes or pen needles without the medication they're for turns your bag into a puzzle. And nobody wants TSA solving puzzles on their stuff while the line watches. So the move is to make it obvious at a glance. Keep injectables and the medication together. Insulin with its needles, an EpiPen in its case, inhalers with your meds. If you can, use a hard case so nothing gets bent, crushed, or bouncing around your backpack. Now the cold stuff. Yes, you can bring the ice packs you need for insulin. Just keep them with the diabetes supplies so the why is clear without a long explanation. And when you're loading the bins, give context first. Diabetes supplies, insulin, and needles. If you wear a pump or a continuous glucose monitor, mention it early too. And follow the manufacturer guidance for your specific device, because some models have screening recommendations you'll want to know before you're already in the line. If screening tends to be stressful with medical gear, TSA Cares can help. Contact them at least 72 hours before your flight and request assistance through the checkpoint. It doesn't erase security, but it can make the process feel a lot less chaotic. And for this category, keep the stuff you can't replace quickly where you can reach it, because you don't want your medical kit taking a separate vacation. Now we've covered what's in the bag. The next one is different, because it can slow you down based on how you look and respond before anyone even touches your backpack. This last one is the weirdest, because nothing in your bag has to be wrong for it to slow you down. Here's the situation. It's a long travel day, you're exhausted, your flight's delayed, and you're thinking, I'll take something now so I can sleep the second I sit down. Maybe it's a prescription sleep aid. Maybe it's an anti-anxiety med. Maybe it's an over-the-counter option plus a little melatonin because you want to fall asleep fast. Then, you step into the security line and it hits earlier than you expected. Now you've got that glassy eye, slow response energy. Maybe your balance feels a little weird and you're trying to act normal, but you're not quite sticking the landing. That's the moment you might get extra questions, additional screening, or a supervisor checking in just to confirm you're okay to continue. Even when everything is legitimate, it can turn into a delay you didn't budget for. And the part people forget is what happens later on the plane. That tiny bottle of wine at 35,000 feet sounds harmless, but alcohol can amplify the effects of a lot of sleep meds and other sedating meds. Best case, you're dizzy and nauseous in a cramped seat. Worst case, you're disoriented, can't regulate yourself, and you become the situation the crew has to manage. So treat sedating meds like timing matters. If something makes you drowsy, Aim for after you're through security and settled, not while you're still dealing with lines, scanners, and announcements. Skip the alcohol with it. And if you're unsure how your medication mixes with melatonin or herbal sleep aids, ask your pharmacist or doctor before the trip, especially if time zones are about to scramble your routine. One more tip that saves people. Don't try a new sleep med for the first time on a flight. The air is not where you want to learn how your body reacts. And there's one more category that isn't a medication on paper, but it gets people stopped all the time for a completely different reason: power. If you travel with a CPAP, rechargeable heating pad, or any medical device that charges like a phone, this next part matters. Most people pack a CPAP or rechargeable medical gear like it's just another gadget. Airports see it differently. They see the battery, especially lithium, and they care about whether it can short, overheat, or get crushed in the wrong place. Here's the part worth saying out loud. Spare lithium batteries have to travel in your carry-on, and the terminals need to be protected so they can't short circuit. That means a case, the original packaging, a battery sleeve, something that keeps the contacts from touching metal or getting knocked around. A loose spare battery rolling around next to keys and chargers is exactly the setup that raises eyebrows. Your CPAP itself is usually fine to carry on as a medical item, and keeping it with you is just smarter anyway. The spot people get tripped up is the spare battery, because it's easy to forget it's in there until someone tells you to gate check the bag. Same idea with rechargeable heating pads and electric warmers. They feel harmless, but they're basically a dense battery pack. Treat them the way you'd treat a power bank. Packed like it matters, not tossed in like a sock. And don't forget the sneaky ones. Portable nebulizers, rechargeable medical wearables, hearing aid charging cases. If it charges like a phone, it needs to travel with the same battery awareness. Because the last place you want to be doing battery archaeology is at the podium while boarding is already moving. If you want TSA to be a 2-minute speed bump instead of a whole episode, make your meds easy to understand the second your bag opens. Keep the stuff you can't miss in your carry-on. Keep medical liquids and creams in one clear pouch, and don't turn pills into a mystery. The whole game is context. When they see the logic fast, you're walking away fast. And for anything that triggers questions, liquids, creams, injectables, say it before they find it. That tiny heads up turns secondary screening into, okay, thanks. If this saved you even one awkward TSA moment, hit like and drop a comment. What's the weirdest thing TSA has ever pulled from your bag? And if you want more airport-proof travel tips, security, boarding, fees, seating, subscribe. I post new guides that make flying easier, cheaper, and way less stressful. Safe travels, and I'll see you in the next one.